Hey everybody, this is Chris with Night of the Living Card Games. I'm continuing my progression campaign through Rise of Red Skull with random heroes and random aspects. And tonight we are up to scenario 4, Zola. Our random hero chosen tonight is the Wasp, and the aspect chosen was Aggression. So, looking at the campaign guide, for completing the last scenario Taskmaster, I would have been able to add any of the allies that I had rescued to my deck. Unfortunately, I did not rescue any of them. So no campaign benefits for there. I am still getting the basic recovery upgrade, which gives me +4 hit points and a +1 recovery. And then the adrenal stims, which is discard this card, remove it from the log, and ready your hero and heal 5 damage. So taking a look here, Zola is a 12 hit point villain with 2 scheme, 1 attack, and he comes with Retaliate 1. His first scheme is called the Island of Dr. Zola, and it has setup instructions to search the encounter deck for Hydra Prison and reveal it. And then we also search the encounter deck for a copy of the Ultimate Bioservant and put it into play engaged with them, and then shuffle the encounter deck. So first, Hydra Prison is a side scheme. Comes in, starts with 1 threat, but when revealed, each player searches their deck discard pile in hand for a hero-specific ally and places it face down beneath the scheme, and then add X threat to the scheme where X is the total cost of all the allies. And then when defeated, remove the scheme from the game and return each ally to its owner's hand. So my hero-specific ally is Ant-Man. He is a 4-cost ally, so we put 4 more threat out there for a total of 5. The Ultimate Bioservant that came out, he is a 1 scheme, 1 attack minion with 4 hit points, and he has toughness, so he comes out with a tough card. And as far as attack goes, he does have an asterisk, and he gets a +1 attack for each attachment on it. So taking a look at 1B, the Island of Dr. Zola. Forced response. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, place 1 test counter here. Then, if there are 3 or more test counters, discard cards from the top of the deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion in play engaged with you, and remove 3 test counters from the scheme. It goes up 1 threat per player, and it starts with 0, and it has a threshold of 6 threat per player. Okay, so he is just going to be churning out the minions. Give the encounter deck and my deck a quick shuffle. And he's just going to be churning out the minions, guaranteed at least 1 every 3 turns. All right, so Wasp, in the alter ego side, Nadia Van Dyne, is an 11 hit point genius with a 3 recovery, and she has an alter ego action. Shuffle up to 2 cards with printed mental resources from your discard pile into your deck. Limit once per round. Like Ant-Man, she has 2 separate hero forms. First is the tiny form of Wasp. It is a 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense hero. With the Avenger and Tiny trait, and a response. After Wasp or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. Okay, and then, like Ant-Man, she also has a giant form. So the giant form of Wasp, if I can get the card open, there we go, is a 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense hero. With the Avenger and Giant trait, her thwart has an asterisk. Thwart you remove with your basic thwart power, can be divided among schemes as you choose. And then the attack also has an asterisk, and it says damage you deal using your basic attack power can be divided among enemies as you choose. So she can spread things out, which is really nice. So this deck is focus in on Hone Technique and Dive Bomb, which is a great combination. Once we find her wings, she gains the aerial trait. So Hone Technique and those wings are probably the things we're digging for first. So let's see what we're getting. So we get the Power of Aggression, Dive Bomb, Quinn Carrier, Ingenuity, Power in All of Us, and Professor X. All right. Well, Ingenuity is great, since she does have Genius, and I'll keep the Power in All of Us for it. Yeah, I'm going to keep Professor X as well. Try to confuse him and then clear off that Hydra prison. And I'll draw 3 more. So I get Plan of Attack, Melee, and Rapid Growth. Okay. So I think we might just cheat and stay in alter ego form this turn. So we are going to spend the Power in All of Us to get down Ingenuity. Since I have the Genius trait, I can do that. And then we are going to use Ingenuity, Rapid Growth, and Melee to put down Professor X. And Professor X is going to confuse the villain. And then I am going to exhaust him to clear 3 threat off of that scheme. Now I'm going to use my alter ego action so I can shuffle 2 cards with printed mental resources back into my deck. And so Quinn Carrier and Melee both have printed mental resources. So I'm going to shuffle those back into my deck. All right, and then we are going to flip up. We're going to go into giant form. Just so that I can then thwart for 2 to clear out the Hydra Prison side scheme, remove it from the game, and get Ant-Man into my hand. And I think that is going to be it. I will pitch Plan of Attack. I'll keep Ant-Man in my hand, and I will ready myself up. Oops. Did forget Professor Xavier did take a damage for that thwarting. Also very nice to have the giant board from By the Same Token while playing Ant-Man or Wasp. Maybe it's unnecessary, but it just feels good. All right, so my new hand is going to be Ant-Man, Genius, Hone Technique, Ironheart, and Pinpoint Strike. All right, so villain phase, he gets 1 scheme on the main, and he gets 1 test counter. He comes to attack. Professor X will jump in front of it, so he's attacking for 1, 2. So Professor X is knocked out. And then this Ultimate Bioservant will hit me for 1. And now we get an encounter card, which is Pain Inhibitors. Attach the minion with the most remaining hit points without another copy of Pain Inhibitors attached. If you cannot, this card gains Surge. The attached minion gets +2 hit points and gains Retaliate 1. Oh, so that is a Retaliate 1. And, oh, by the way, he's now a +1 attack also because he's got an attachment. Well, that wasn't a fun opening hand. All right, so that is my turn now. Okay, so that's going to change up what I'm doing a little bit, I think. Oh, I do have Ingenuity back as well. So I was going to flip down into Alter Ego, but I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to Wasp form. And then I am going to exhaust to attack to ping the Tough off. With Retaliate, that does give me 1 damage. Then I'm going to use Ingenuity and Genius to play a Pinpoint Strike. So Pinpoint Strike says, hero action attack deals 7 damage to an enemy. If you are in tiny hero form, this attack deals 1 additional damage and gains overkill. So that is 8 damage. He only has 6 hit points, so that is going to defeat him. And because I defeated him, I don't have to take the Retaliate a second time. And 2 more are going to go through here. And since it's overkill damage, again, retaliate does not come off. And I think that's going to be it. I am going to pitch Ant-Man and Ironheart, and I'm going to keep Hone Technique in my hand. All right, so let's draw back up. So we've got Hone Technique, Power in all of us, Pinpoint Strike, Melee, and Pim Particles. All right, so Zola is going to put 1 on the main, and he's going to get a second test counter. He is going to attack. We're just going to take it. So 1 and nothing, star boost, and the boost is give the villain a tough status card. And so I take 1 damage from the attack. And now for my encounter card, I get Concussion Blasters. Attached to the villain gains Retaliate 1. And then hero action, exhaust your hero and spend double energy resources to discard this card. So he now has Retaliate 2. Oof. Don't like that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to exhaust my hero and spend Power in all of us, which is a wild resource, and use that as an energy. Pim Particles as an energy resource to get rid of that, because I do not need Retaliate 2. Pim Particle says after you spend this card, heal 2 damage from your hero if you're in giant hero form, or draw 1 card if you are in tiny hero form. Since I'm in tiny form, I get to draw a card. That card is Avengers Mansion. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here then is we are going to use Ingenuity, Melee, and Avengers Mansion to put down my Hone Technique. And then we're going to flip down to my Alter Ego form, and I'm going to use my ability to find 2 cards with printed mental resource. I will do Genius, and I'll do Professor X. Shuffle them back into my deck. And then we're going to ready ourselves up. I'm going to keep Pinpoint Strike in my hand, and we're going to then also get Precision Strike, that Genius we just shuffled in, Brawn, Warrior Skill, and Professor X that we just shuffled in. Alrighty then. Okay, so villain phase, we get 1 threat to go up to 3. He gets another test counter, and now since there are 3 or more, we're going to discard cards until a minion is discarded. Alright, so Mind Ray. Zola's Mutate. So Zola's Mutate is a 1 scheme to attack 5 hit point minion with the Hydra Mutate trait, and it has a Win Revealed ability, which would be discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a tech attachment is discarded and attach it. However, the force response says just put him into play, don't reveal him, so I don't have to do that. Alright, so Zola it would scheme, but he is confused. The Mutate schemes for 1, and now we get an encounter card. Okay, so we get the 1 encounter card, which is going to be Shadow of the Past. Oh, that's going good. Okay, so we put into play Wasp Nemesis, who is Beetle, who is a 1 scheme, 1 attack criminal with the guard trait. And then when Beetle is defeated, has a forced interrupt, choose to either spend a fist resource or shuffle Beetle into the encounter deck. Side scheme is Mother's Orders. It comes in with 2 threat, and then as an additional cost for each hero to make a basic attack, that hero must spend 1 of any resource. All right, and we've got 3 other cards to shuffle into the deck. Well, as always, things were looking okay, and then the encounter phase happens. All right, so let's see what I can do here. Yep. All right, so we're gonna play a little bit. So we're going to do Genius and Warrior Skill to bring in Professor X, who's going to confuse Zola again. And then we're going to use my alter ego action to take those 2 cards and shuffle them back into my deck. Right, and then Professor X is going to thwart 3 off the main because that's getting higher than I would want. We are going to flip up into yeah, we're going to flip up into a tiny form. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Ingenuity, Brawn, and Precision Strike to play Pinpoint Strike. So since I'm in tiny form, it deals 8 damage with Overkill. And because I paid using mental resources, I get to increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. Oh. Shoot, hang on a second. Let me retcon that. Oh, he's got tough. And I can't do a basic attack with that. Oh, well. All right, well, kind of a waste, but I don't want to rewind things to try to figure out a different way to do it. So we'll just do it. I'll take out the mutate because these things are annoying. These things are annoying. And then the overkill takes off tough. Actually, I will retcon just to say that I flipped over into giant form instead. Sorry about that, folks. But that doesn't change anything for this. Yeah, it does. We'll put the tough back. That's fine. And then we're going to thwart 2 off of this thing. And then we're going to ready ourselves up. See, this is why you should read the cards and understand the board state before playing turns. All right, so drawn back up to 5. We get another Pinpoint Strike, Wasp Sting, Giant Help, Pim Particle, and Melee. All right, so villain phase, he's going to get a second scheme and another test counter. He is going to attack. Professor X is going to defend for me, so he's attacking for 1. And then 0, but it has a boost effect to place 1 test counter on the main scheme. So this now goes up to 2. So just 1, so Professor X survives. And then Beetle attacks me for 1. And then we get bad card, which is Test Subjects. Side scheme that comes in with 2 threat. When defeated, the first player discards cards from the top of the encounter deck until they discard a minion and then reveal that minion. And it's got a hazard icon. All right. Okay, so Professor X goes away at the end of the turn. We are going to thwart 2. Let's just get rid of this. And this one is a reveal, not a put into play, so that may come into effect. So, oh, yep, mutate. So reveal, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a tech attachment is discarded and attach it. So here's a tech right now. So he gets pain inhibitors, which means he has a +2 hit points and gains retaliate 1. So he's 7 hit points. Okay. All right, so my turn. I am going to start by flipping over into tiny form. And we are going to play Pim Particles, Wasp Sting, and Ingenuity to play a Pinpoint Strike to deal 8 points of damage with Overkill. So that's 7. So that clears him out. And then 1 gets through with the Tough. All right, and because I use Pim Particles in tiny form, I get to draw a card. There's Red Room Training. So that's an upgrade, and it says when you're in giant form, you gain Retaliate 1, and while you are in tiny form, your basic attack gains Piercing. That's nice, but I don't think I'm going to use that. Oh, shoot. Well, I could have used Hone Technique on that, but that doesn't matter. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip down to... Oh, I already flipped to tiny form, so I can't flip again. So I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to get rid of Red Room Training. I'm going to hold on to Melee and Giant Help and plan to flip down next turn. So let's get myself going here. So we've got Giant Help and Melee, Precision Strike, Wasp's Helmet, and a Quinn Carrier. Right. So we've got 1 threat on the main, up to 3 out of 6. We get a 3rd test counter, which means we have to look for another minion. And oh, we got a Berserker Mutate who does have Quick Strike. So I'm just taking that. I'm not going to defend. Okay. And so that was the force response. So now he is going to attack me. I'll just take it. So that is 1. Just 1. Beetle will attack me for 1, taking me down to 2, to 7, and then the mutate will attack me as well. All right, and now we get an encounter card, which is a Mind Ray in Hero form. Zola attacks you, and you are stunned. All right, so he's attacking for 1, 4 total. Ouch. That puts me down to 1 hit point. That is not good, and I am stunned. All right, I am going to attack to clear my stunned. I'm going to use Ingenuity, Quinn Carrier, and my helmet. Oh no, that's not going to work. I want to clear some thwart out of that, but well, we're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, so we're going to do Quinn Carrier and Giant Help with Ingenuity to do melee. And because I used a mental resource to pay for it, I get to increase the damage that event deals by its printed cost. So melee is a 3-cost attack event that says deal 3 damage to an enemy and then deal 3 damage to another enemy. And with Hone Technique, that benefit of 3 is going to both of these. So it is dealing 6 damage, 6 damage. So that's taking out the Berserker Mutate. It is killing Beetle, and I will spend my helmet to just discard Beetle instead of shuffling them back in. And then I am going to flip into Alter Ego. And I am going to use my action to shuffle 2 mental resources. I will do a Pinpoint Strike. And I think I got a Genius in here someplace, don't I? Or did I already shuffle that back in? So I already shuffled that back in. So let's do our friend Professor X. That's Quinn Carrier, not Professor X. Let's shuffle these two back in. Still looking for those wings so I can do the dive bomb routine, but we'll get to it eventually. All right, we're going to just discard Precision Strike and ready ourselves up. So we're getting Professor X, Genius, Dive Bomb, Biosynthetic Wings, and Psylocke. Ooh, those are all great cards. I wish I had more resources to play them. All right, villain phase. We put one threat on the main, and he gets one test counter. He would scheme, but he is confused. So now we get an encounter card, which is the ultimate Bioservant. So we got another minion who comes in with tough. All right, first things first. I kind of have to recover. I'm recovering for 4 thanks to the basic recovery upgrade. I might actually have to use the adrenal stims this game. All right, so we are going to spend Genius to get my biosynthetic wings out, which gives me the aerial trait. I'll put it over here. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to spend Psylocke, Dive Bomb, and Ingenuity to get Professor X out, who is going to confuse the villain. And then he is going to take 3 threat off of the main. I'm going to use my ability to shuffle back in Genius. And let's do Psylocke back into my deck. And I'm actually just going to stay this turn in Alter Ego. No real reason for me to swap over at this moment. I'm going to keep Dive Bomb in hand and ready myself up. So we're going to get Dive Bomb, Genius, Rapid Growth, Vivian, Psylocke, and Giant Help. All right, villain phase. He gets 1 on the main and a second counter. He would scheme, but he's confused, sorry. And then the Bioservant schemes for 1. And now we get an encounter card, which is Advance, of course. So he's scheming for 2, 3. That's enough to pop it. All right, so that goes away. Let's see here. The Mad Doctor, Scheme 2A. When revealed, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a minion and reveals it. And then shuffle the encounter deck. What one do I want? You know what? We're going to take the... We are going to take the Berserker Mutate, because Quick Strike doesn't affect us in Alter Ego. And then Mad Doctor, side 2B, is an 8 threat threshold. Starts with 1, goes up 1 per player. And same thing after resolving step 1. Put a test counter there, and if there's 3 or more, go discard until you've got a minion and put them into play. All right, so that's the end of the villain phase. Professor X goes away. All right, so we are not going to recover. We are instead let us put, we're going to spend 2 to get a Vivian into play. So Vivian is a 2-cost, 2-thwart, 1-attack ally with 2 hit points, and hero response after Vivian enters play. Choose an attachment, non-elite minion, or non-permanent side scheme, and until the end of the round, treat it as if it were blank. Doesn't really impact me, but I wanted to do that, so I could now get Genius, and I'm going to keep going my standard. I'm just going to get Professor X back there, because we really love Professor X. Okay, so actually, so now what we are going to do is we're going to attack for 1 with Vivian to take the tough off this. Now I will recover for another 4, so that puts me up to 9. And then I'm going to flip up into tiny form. And I'm going to spend Ingenuity, Giant Help, Psylocke, and Rapid Growth for Dive Bomb. And I'm going to use Hone Technique on the Dive Bomb. So Dive Bomb is a 4-cost attack event. Play only if your identity has the aerial trait. And then deal 7 damage to an enemy and 1 damage to each other enemy. And Hone Technique, I get to add 4 to not just the 7 damage, but the 1 damage. So it's dealing 12 and 5. So clearly, I'm choosing Zola to do the 12, which defeats him. Because it defeated him, I don't take Retaliate. So he goes away. So phase 2 comes in with 14 hit points. Still has Retaliate 1. And when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the test subject side scheme and reveal it. All right, let's go find the test subject side scheme. Let's see if it had already come out. Test subject side scheme. Yep. Forgot about this part. So test subjects come in with a 2 threat, has a hazard icon, and when defeated, reveal discard cards until you reveal a minion. So I'm going to be dealing with 2 encounter cards this turn. So that was that. And so Wasp has a small but mighty response. After Wasp or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. So my event did defeat him, so I am... Oh, a minion or a side scheme, sorry, so that doesn't count. But it does defeat this one. And it does defeat this one. So I'm not certain if I get to trigger that twice. But I don't see why not, because I defeated a minion with an event I played. So I believe I get to do 2 damage that way. Okay. So now we're going to ready ourselves up here. Draw up to 5. Hand size 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we get Professor X again, Warrior Skill, Pinpoint Strike, Power of Aggression, and Moon Girl. Moon Girl. Be very nice. I have a lot of mental resources in my hand right now. But first, let's get through this. So first things first. This goes up to 2. And we get a 3rd test counter, which causes us to discard. Nope. Nope. And a mutate. And it is at least put into play and not revealed, so I don't have to go find a tech upgrade. So Zola is going to attack. Vivian is going to defend. So he's attacking for 2. And nothing but a boost. Place 1 test counter on the main scheme, and for each test counter, Zola gets a +1 scheme or +1 attack for the activation. So he is attacking for 3 total, which does defeat Vivian. And the Zola's mutate hits me for 2, so that takes me down to 7. All right, and now I'm getting 2 encounter cards. First one is another test subject. That's not great. Get the Wind Defeated out as well. And Beetlemania. Ruin revealed hero side. Beetle attacks you with +1 attack. If no attacks were made this way, this card gains surge. Okay, so it surges into under attack. Run out of room for side schemes here. So it is a crisis icon, and when revealed, each player chooses to either place 2 threat here or deal 3 damage to their hero. And it comes in with 3. All right, what do I have? Can I take him out? I think I can just take him out this turn, so I'm just going to put 2 threat on this. Okay, so what we are going to do our turn, we are going to use Ingenuity, Professor X, and Warrior Skill to play Moon Girl. Moon Girl is a 3 cost, 2 thwart to attack, 3 hit point. Oh, I cannot. I take that back. Hang on. Retcon. So Moon Girl has a requirement that you can only play if your identity has the champion or genius trait. And in hero form, I'm not a genius. And even though the Wasp ally, the Nadia Van Dyne ally, is a champion, the hero is not. The hero is an Avenger. So I can't play Moon Girl right now. Okay. That changes things a little bit. Okay, so I think I can still do this. So I am going to spend the Power of Aggression to get a Warrior Skill out. So Warrior Skill is a 2 cost upgrade. Comes in with 3 uses, max 1 per player, and an interrupt. When your hero attacks, remove 1 warrior counter from here, and that attack deals 1 additional damage. So I am going to spend Ingenuity, Professor X, and Moon Girl to play Pinpoint Strike. And so I'm dealing 7 damage, but because I'm in tiny form, I deal 1 additional damage, and it gains Overkill. I'm ignoring this mutate because he is not guarding me, or guarding Zola. So that's 8 damage onto Zola. So we go from 12 to 4, and I'm going to take 1 off Warrior Skill to do 1 more. Oh, I'm sorry, silly me. I apologize. I'm making a lot of mistakes this game, but that's okay. So I'm doing 8, but then I'm using Hone Technique because I used a mental resource to pay for it. Is dealing 8 plus 3, 11, plus the 1 from Warrior Skill is 12, and that defeats Zola. So, as a bit of a sloppy game, I do apologize for that, but Wasp with Aggression was able to get through Zola, so that leaves us with just Red Skull to face with War Machine with the Justice aspect. So I hope you enjoyed it, even as sloppy as it was. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I'll put a link to this deck in the show notes. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and hope everyone has a great evening until the next time.